Welcome, welcome, welcome to Inside the Mind of a Woman. And this is episode 3. I'm excited about this episode. We've had some really good episodes. Our last episode, we did feature someone who was living with a condition called CRPS, something that my mother is actually going through and living with, which is a debilitating condition. She also had some abuse in her life and just a touching story. And once again, the idea behind Inside the Mind of a Woman is really to explore the courageous stories of women who are either doing amazing things in business and life, being role models as mothers and wives and sisters, and really just getting an understanding, because a lot of times we have no idea what people are dealing with, and the women who give birth to us are some of the most strongest and powerful women, and they need to be supported, but also kind of bringing the divide between women and men together, because I think if men understand women a little bit more, um, so much more could be done, right? Because at times we don't understand, their heart. We may not understand fully their mind, but they're willing to share, and I think that's what this is about today. I'm bringing on a young lady. I met her years ago when I was doing. I started to do a documentary called Trial by Fire that was based on my mother, and she was and is one of the biggest faces in the condition. She has a nonprofit organization. She jumped on board and she was willing to help me get this thing done. I was dealing with a whole bunch of mess inside the conditioned state that we were dealing with. I mean, because it was so much to navigate. You had to know the right people and not deal with certain people. It was something, but we've stayed in contact. She actually put me on her magazine cover, which was a blessing. And I think it's 360. So I'm happy to have her here. She's got a story too as well, and really excited to kind of have her share her story of hope and what she's gone through. So, Barby Ingle, how are you, young lady?
Hey, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast this time. And I think that you are doing amazing work, not just with CRPS,
Yeah.
but diabetes, health in general, motivation, inspiration. So thank you for all that you do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I think we probably have that same spirit, Barb, where we just want to give back and touch other people and make change, and I don't know where it comes from, but
God,
and we there you go, the Almighty. You're right about that. So Barbie, you've got, I want to go into a little bit more of your story, and I was actually blown away because you said, "Man, I'm from Thailand." I'm like, Thailand, So tell us a little bit about that background.
yeah, well, I was born in Bangkok, Thailand, in Bangkok Hospital, and my sister was also born there, and we had dual citizenship for because we were born in Thailand. We had dual citizenship, and we moved to the United States when we were 4. So we really got to experience a different world for a little while, and then move to United States and assimilate here and go to school. We're a year apart, but we were raised as twins. And my sister is actually half Thai and half Black, and um,
Mm-mm.
I'm
Oh.
2% Asian genetically, but being born in Thailand, I had that citizenship there until I was 12. And then back in the 70s, the United States would say you have to choose one or the other. You can't keep both
Yep.
citizenships. It's
Hmm.
different now, I hear, but I had to go in front of a judge and say, I promise to be a good American. This is what it is, but I'm proud that
Yeah.
I'm born in Thailand and that I have that in my background. Most
Mm.
people look at me and they make assumptions about people,
Yeah.
and that's one you would never look at me and go, oh, you're from Thailand, but I
Hmm.
actually am from Thailand. And I in the current 2024 Miss Elite Miss Thailand, um,
Hmm.
And so I'm representing my roots and where I came from through the pageantry system, and
Wow.
really appreciate that I have that extra little twist in my background to help me see the world in a little different light.
Wow, that is powerful. Now, we're going to jump into the story, and I think one of your first challenges was dealing with a learning condition.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Well, when I moved to the United States, I went into kindergarten. I was 4 years old, and the teachers would tell my parents that I was lazy and that I wasn't paying attention in class. And my mom was like, "No, I see a different Barbie. This isn't who I see." And she took me to uh, go to a counseling office, and they did testing and found out I had a severe learning disability, and it was affecting my motor skills, my speech. They would throw a ball at me on the playground, and I would just stand there and let it hit me in the face or wherever it hit me. And so I had fine motor skill challenges, but I also had uh, speaking challenges, getting things translated from reading to verbal to process through my brain. And my mom actually took the school system to court. They wanted to hold me back a year, and my mom took them to court and said, "No, my daughter actually needs help and assistance," and fought for me to get the education I needed. And I started in first grade. I started going to special education classes, and also
Mm,
every summer all the way through high school, I went to summer school, whether I
mm,
needed it or not. I mean, I needed it
mhm,
because of my learning disability, not because I wasn't applying myself. I just had to learn new ways to
mhm,
accomplish things in life. And I think
mhm,
that is what helped me be a better patient and a better advocate for myself and others, was because I had these life challenges
mhm.
and had to learn how to physically put my hands up if something was being thrown at me, or duck and cover at least.
Mhm, mhm,
But also help with reading, writing, math,
mhm,
all of that. I am smart. I have a high IQ. It
mhm.
just wasn't coming out in school,
Yeah.
and until college. Until college, where I could do things on my own and create my own structures and organizing, and things got easier
Yeah.
because I could do it my own way and not get shoved into the boxes that society puts on us.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've had some other health challenges before we get into CRPS. Maybe share some of those.
Yeah, well, the biggest one before CRPS, which I was actually diagnosed with full body, which is not regional pain. I have full body. They now call it algoneurodystrophy, but back when I was first diagnosed, it was called RSD, reflex sympathetic dystrophy. I had endometriosis, which is a female disease, and we're here to talk
Mhm,
about, the mind of a woman. And I just had
mhm,
severe abdominal pain. I was bleeding about 21
mhm,
days a month,
mhm.
and
Wow.
I had two laparoscopies where they went in through my belly button and cauterized areas that the endometriosis was growing outside of my uterus, which is what happens to your uterus lining, and cells start growing in other parts of your body. And so they would go in through my abdomen and try to clean me up. And both of the times they did that, as well as they gave me medications that normally in a normal human make you feel better or help you.
Mhm,
For
mhm,
me, the endometriosis got worse and
mhm,
spread, and I ended up having a full hysterectomy. I felt like I
mhm,
conquered the world, although I knew at 26 years old I would never have a child
mhm,
and of my own,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
that my whole life was changed because of this disease condition that um, affects a lot of women. I don't remember the statistic right off the top of my head, but a lot of women, not just endometriosis, but my sister had fibroids. Uh,
Mhm.
so it definitely there's diseases out there that affect females
Yeah.
that men never have to think about or worry or feel
Yeah.
the pain of.
You're right.
And I thought I conquered the world going for a hysterectomy.
Yeah.
Little did I know that God was prepping me for something much different.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I want to touch on, one thing that I've seen with you. You have such a wonderful support system in your husband, and you guys are, man, are always together, always taking pictures, working together. Was he around during this time that you were dealing with this, or is this a little bit later?
He came later. I was married
Okay.
for 10 years prior to him, so that
Okay.
I think makes me a better wife now because I know what not to do.
Yeah,
Um,
true.
but my first husband was really good helping me through endometriosis
Okay.
and very supportive.
Hmm.
When I developed RSD,
Hmm.
that we didn't know what I had,
Okay.
but I could no longer. I was the head coach at Washington State University for the
Hmm.
entire spirit program, the cheerleaders, the dancers,
Wow.
the mascot program, the pep team.
Hmm.
Worked under our marketing department so that
Hmm.
we could help with marketing the university and the athletic
Hmm.
program. And I was top 5 in the country as a
Hmm.
cheerleading coach, and my teams were ranked in the top 5.
Wow.
So I was like a mover and a shaker in that
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
prior to um to all of this. But my first husband, when that happened, and I
Hmm.
was sleeping about 20 hours a day
Hmm.
uh in
Hmm.
those first few years, um he was like, I have to work. Wait, I was an at-home husband with no children or pets. What, like,
Hmm.
his
Hmm.
whole life changed in the
Okay.
8 seconds that my whole life changed.
Wow.
And it didn't work out. And Ken was my new neighbor, my husband now.
Okay.
And I was like, never again, no more men. I'm done. Like, I got to focus on my health. And God
Yeah.
said, no, I don't want you to miss this sign. I'm going
Yeah.
to make him Ken so that you
Wow.
pay attention to this person that's supposed to be in your life and be your partner. So,
Wow. I love that. Now let's go to number one, RSD, CRPS.
mhm.
Explain to those, because a lot of people will see it who have CRPS and could be inspired by you. But for those who don't know, explain what it is, who can get it, because we know almost anybody at any age can get it, and how you got it, Barbie.
Okay. So, I RSD, the fastest way to explain it is reflex. Anything in your body that's automatic goes haywire. Sympathetic is your nervous system. It's like someone put lighter fluid in you. Some people have it in just their pinky. Some people have it in their arm. Mine started in my face, neck, and shoulder, and due to additional traumas, spread throughout my whole entire body, including organ involvement. And it feels like someone put lighter fluid in my whole body. It caught me on fire, and it's really difficult. That's the symptom I have the most challenge with, and I have to work the hardest to make sure that I'm managing that burning fire pain. And then dystrophy is loss of muscle and bone. And I've spent 7 years in a wheelchair. I had to fight to get a diagnosis. It took 3 years to get a diagnosis. It took 42 doctors getting it wrong before the 43rd was finally correct. And in that process, I had even come to them and said, hey, my stepsister has this rare disease. Is there any chance this is the same thing? Was told 100% it wasn't, with no testing or anything done. Um, and then it took, after my diagnosis took 3 years, it took another 4 years to actually find treatments that were able to help me get me walking again and out and living life and being a better advocate for myself and others.
Now,
The
real quick, not to cut you off. I,
Yeah.
I don't think people probably understand,
Okay.
because it sounds like this was a fast process, but
Oh
the
no, 7
pain,
years.
the pain that you were living with, because now we're talking about understanding someone who is dealing with some severe pain. Obviously, my mother has it, and
So
it
you've
just
seen it.
breaks my heart to see what she was and what she is now. Um, and we understand that feels like it's pouring lighter fluid, but really tell us what those days were like. You know, what did you have depression? Did you think about why me, Lord, at times? Did you think about taking your life? I mean, what were some of those rough days like for you, Barb?
Well, first off, I still have rough days.
Yeah.
I just found better ways to manage. However, the days, especially the first 7 years, were uh, days where I thought I was going to die
Hmm.
alone by myself. Um, I was overtreated, undertreated, and mistreated.
Hmm.
I felt not heard. I absolutely had situational depression as well as developed anxieties and PTSD from being overtreated, undertreated, and mistreated through the system. I had a provider tell me if I didn't have my rib removed, I would die. And I didn't even ask any questions. I just ran literally that week. I went and had my rib removed, and that doctor made a mistake and
Wow.
led to more complications, led to it spreading. It's for me, it started with the 8-second car accident. And that's what triggered it in me. Now we know it's in the blood. Now we know that there's 3 genetic markers involved that just came out last week. There was a
Wow.
there was a new study that came out. There's actually 3 genetic markers that they found. And actually, I said my stepsister earlier. She passed away due to complications.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
my younger brother actually has this disease also, and
Mm.
it manifests different in female and male people.
Yeah.
So he's now in his 40s, and it's just now getting really bad for him. Whereas I was
Mm.
29 when it started, and
Yeah.
got worse from there. It literally, I need help. I needed help, and sometimes still need help with walking, with taking a shower. We would put sheets or towels on me in between the water, because just the water hitting you feels like needle
Wow.
pokes. So every piece of water is like 1,000 needles hitting you at the same time. The
Wow.
wind from a ceiling fan can affect me.
Mm.
It's often very difficult for me to feel warm from the inside out. Although I
Mm.
feel like I'm on fire, I am freezing. So I say freezing fire
Wow.
is another way to describe it. And that burning pain is the worst pain, but there's not just that kind of pain. There's uh, there's bone pain. There's
Mm.
electric pain, as if I'm getting hit with the lightning, just anywhere random in my body, because it affects my whole body. The lightning pain is pretty sharp. I could just be sitting here and all of a sudden go, and like all of a sudden it felt like lightning hit me. On
Wow.
top of the constant burning pain that I try to
Yeah.
control, there's these muscle spasms, and sometimes it feels like someone's on my back with a jackhammer. And
Mm.
there's not prior to getting RSD, I thought pain is pain and it's the same pain. And I sprained my
Mm.
ankle, I tore my ligament in my knee, and it was all the same pain.
Mhm. Mhm.
After I got it, my whole pain scale changed. I
Mm.
don't believe in a 1 to 10 pain scale.
Mhm. Mhm.
What I
Mhm.
thought was a 10 was no
Mhm.
longer a 10, it was like a 2 or 3.
Mhm.
And my new 10 was, okay, I could die in this situation
Mhm.
because the pain is so bad and it's not being managed properly. So,
Mhm.
and that has happened. People have died from their pain levels not being
Mhm.
controlled. Um, so it's way more than the pain. The pain's just the worst
Mhm.
part. But I also
Yeah.
had vertigo.
Yeah.
I would be upright, and then my brain would be like, "You're upside down," and I would,
Mhm. Wow.
flip. Fell on my head and got a concussion. Walked into walls. Had
Yeah.
chronic vomiting, where I was vomiting pretty much every single day, sometimes multiple times in a day, even when I took Zofran or other medications to stop the vomiting. So
Yeah.
it absolutely affects every aspect of your
Yeah.
life.
You know, I've looked at my mother sometimes, and she was just in the hospital, and Barbara, she actually, I think she had pneumonia, but she's been internalizing it as sleep. So she's sleeping and not eating, not opening up her mouth, and I'm just sitting there thinking, this woman is in so much pain. I don't know if she's almost become
Horror.
numb to the pain,
Yeah.
where it's like your whole body is just in pain. It it almost doesn't hurt anymore per se, that it just hurts so much that I didn't know. I was mind blown that she was dealing with pneumonia and just laying there, not complaining, not, making a fuss. It's hard to. This is a condition, and that's why my heart still reaches out and wants to do things and wants to spread the word, because I've seen so many good people that are dealing with this condition, and some have it really, really bad. How did let's jump? How did you become an advocate for this? What was that movement that said, you know what, I've got to do something?
This this is a complex answer. Couple of things. One, my family. My dad, growing up, every Thanksgiving Day, we would choose a family community service activity to do, and it would typically be done between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It could be going and feeding the homeless, or going to nursing homes, going through neighborhoods and singing Christmas carols. Every year we would each throw out an idea, and then we would pick one of the family ideas. And so there was already a interest in community service. And in 2006, my stepsister had passed away in July of 2006, and from the RSD complications. And I had just been diagnosed the year before. And my brother said, if this is happening to Melanie, Melanie spent time in a psych ward because they didn't understand RSD and what it does. And so they just thought she went crazy and put her in a psych ward, when really she just needed help with the symptoms that she was going through. So they said, why don't we help people that have this same condition and make a difference in their lives? If Barbie and Melanie can't get the treatment that they need, then other people out there have to be having similar challenges. Let's make some tools that help. And my dad said, if we're going to do this, this isn't just a one and done. We do it for this year. This is something
Wow.
bigger than us. And it's going to take all of us being dedicated in. And so the nonprofit started on that Thanksgiving Day in 2006. And by March of 2007, we had our nonprofit status. And at that time, I was still bedbound, wheelchair bound,
Wow.
not really doing much. It was actually my family. It was started in my honor and my sister's memory. But it was my family and my husband who carried it forward and made it into something that was actually viable. And then in 2009, I went through infusion therapy and went in the hospital in a wheelchair and walked out 7 days later. So that really was life-giving for me. And then I got more involved and became a board member. And then in 2012, I became the president. And then I was president for 10 years. And I am currently not on the board or president. I'm just a regular volunteer.
Okay.
But advocating for myself came with that 43rd doctor. And he said, send me all your records from everybody from the last 3 years. And he went through all of that before he even saw me. And when I got to his office, he said, I think I know what's wrong. And I would like to do a test. And it's a medical procedure to go through the testing. And I said, I stood up for myself for the first time and said, I want to go home and research on my own first. And when I'm ready, I'll come back. And I took about a week and went home and researched the procedure he wanted to do and looked up the condition and talked to my stepsister about it. And actually stood up for myself. And then I also started using adjectives to describe what I was experiencing on a daily basis to the provider. I hadn't done that with the first 42. And I think had I had the adjectives, instead of crying, instead of saying, I'm in pain, help me. I went in and said burning, fire, pain, electric pain, shooting pain, bone pain. these other pains come and go. When I started using adjectives and describing what I went through, and instead of just saying, fix me, help me,
Hmm.
I'm in pain, that's when I actually got help. So I advocated for myself first,
Hmm.
just learning a new language of the
Hmm.
medical terms, and then was able to advocate for others and help others through the system.
Hmm. Now, jump back 1 second.
Okay.
Now, and I go back to the hubby. A lot of times, we always pray that I want to meet somebody that, if God forbid, if I get sick, they're going to be there through the thick and thin. But we know at times, soon as we maybe get a little old, a couple wrinkles, God forbid, we get some sort of sickness, that partner is gone. How has you know, how has it been having Ken as this, real support for you, and through all of this that he's been ups and downs? How has that been?
A blessing. And
Yeah,
again, from God. God said, don't miss this. He gives you in our lives, he gives us pebbles. And then if you
yeah,
don't pay attention, then he gives you rocks. And then he gives
yeah,
you boulders that you have to
yeah.
navigate around. God was like, don't miss this. This is
Mm,
who your person is. And in the beginning, he was right there along with me. I moved from Washington State. I asked the doctors there, if you could go anywhere, where would you go? And they said Arizona. I don't know if that was the right reason or answer, because they didn't know what was wrong with me, and I've had to travel to other states to actually get the care I need. But
mhm,
it was part of the process that God had me on to meet Ken.
mm,
We went through this together. We went through my rib surgery together. We went through um, going through all the aspects of it. And in the process, when I first met him, I was he was my new neighbor named Ken, and he worked from home. And I said, hey, if I pay you $40 a day, will you drive me to physical therapy and doctor appointments? And he was like, sure, yeah. Um, he had the time and the ability, so he was helping me out, and I was paying him. And then I was running out of money, but on these trips we would talk and get to know each other. And then one day he asked me out on a date, and I was like, why would you want to go on a date with me? Like, I've
mm,
lost everything. I had a cheer and dance training company on top of being
mhm,
a head coach at a university. I'm losing all my physical abilities.
mm,
I'm not getting better. I'm trying to get better, but I'm not getting better. And he said, I've been waiting my whole life for you,
mm,
and you have everything
mm,
on my list of what I've been looking for,
mm,
except for health. And we're
mm,
working on that.
mm,
And why would I give up all of these other things for
mm.
this one thing that
Wow,
you don't have, that we can work on?
wow.
And he saw the good in me even when I couldn't see the good in me. I
Mm,
saw the things I lost and all the things I wasn't anymore.
yeah.
And he saw past all that and said, look at all of your accomplishments.
Mm,
Look at who you are as a being, not
mhm,
what you do and what you've done, but who you are as a being. And that is what I've been waiting for and looking for, and I found it.
mm.
It,
Man,
it
we're gonna have to get Ken on here, and we need more men like him out here just setting
absolutely.
examples.
Yeah.
So, Barb, one thing I know, and I don't know if that's the right word, and probably might be, I have I'm so frustrated that I can't do more. And I don't know who to reach out to. I wish I could, find a company so we can do more documentaries, so we can do more TV shows, so we can. And you've been in this for a long time. What
Yeah.
are some of what would you like? What are some of your frustrations, and how do we bring more awareness to CRPS RSD?
This year has been a challenging year. I feel like so much has come out with science, and yet I feel like we have gone backwards in
Mm,
awareness
mm,
levels. Like, I had seen steady growth since I heard about it from my stepsister to getting the diagnostic process and going through all the things I have. I kept seeing a steady forward, 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 always forward movement. there was people that would try to pull you down like crabs in a bucket. They don't want to get boiled, so they don't want you to get out of the bucket because they want you to suffer with them. And so I've seen that through the system, but this year especially, I've seen it's like people forgot about the science and the research and the things that have happened, even going back to 2012, when things came out about this disease and it being autoimmune related, neuroautoimmune related, and now we know it's genetically related. Like literally, it's been an extra challenge this year. I feel like we've actually moved backwards, and maybe it's because new advocates are coming through. And I believe that as new people are diagnosed and more information is developed, there's supposed to be new advocates and things growing up, but people haven't looked at the past. Like you have to know your past in any situation. Like you have to know history before you can build and move forward. And this year feels like people are like, forget your history, forget what we've already learned and known and built and grown from. And not just with RSD, but even in race and religion and so many aspects. But this disease specifically, the energy that the new advocates are putting in is great. They just don't know. Oh, we've moved past the McGill pain scale. The McGill pain scale only does acute pain. It doesn't do chronic pain. So you still see people talking about something from the 70s, and I say, why are you talking about something from the 70s? That yes, that was how the test was back then. Now this is 2023. That test, that it's totally been revamped and it doesn't do chronic pain. They said, but it gives us something to talk about. I'm like, yeah, there's so much more to talk about. They found things in the blood. They found things in our genetic markers that you might only be experiencing pain chronically, regionally in your body. You be mindful and working out those symptoms that you're going through. But really look at the history of what this disease is. I mean, it's gone back to the Civil War and changed names over 20 times. The new name they're calling it is algoneurodystrophy. So CRPS isn't even going to be a name that sticks. As they learn more about it, the name's going to keep changing until it gets the disease designation. And now with the new genetics markers and everything, that is even closer to happening, but it's not happened yet. We have to remember the history, build upon it, get new advocates up to speed, get providers up to speed. And that comes from public awareness. It comes from people talking about it. Like fibromyalgia was a wastebasket term a few years ago, and now there's companies that have genetic testing and blood testing for fibromyalgia. I can't wait until there's a day with that, but until we get things in the media over and over and over, we can't say, okay, trial by fire is awesome and we've got to keep it moving and we've got to keep the public eye on it.
Of course.
We also, people relate to things differently, so we need other tools like that
of course,
continue to build upon, talk about, share, and understand and know. Not everybody has access to treatments. Not everybody has providers that know or understand their disease. They want to be a good provider, but it's just a rural area or underserved area or underserved community. Their heritage or how they were brought up may make them not want to talk about what they're going through as a patient. And so there's so many different aspects and reasons. We need different tools, and we need to say, okay, there's this big picture, and not every piece of the puzzle in this picture fits together, but we still all make up this picture. How this affects us, how it affects my brother and me is sometimes different. The treatments that we use are sometimes different, but we also know, hey, we're different. It affects women 3-1 over men, but men seem to have greater symptoms or symptomology, or they're believed more, so they're heard more, so their symptoms are treated more. You know, it's societal, it's genetic, it's lifestyle.
Mhm.
all combined, we have to find different tools and ways to reach the public. And when then they go in and talk to their providers, we've
Yeah.
planted the seeds that can grow
Yeah.
into trees to get the care that we need so
Yeah.
that one day can be cured.
Let's give me 40-second answers on a couple of questions.
Okay.
Someone maybe for the first time hearing about this and has some of these symptoms. What are we looking for? What are they looking for? Who do they go talk to? What kind of tests do they need?
I would say you have these symptoms. If you're wondering if you have it, if you can get a thermogram is the most accurate way to test for this disease. And it wasn't widely known. Again, it's not widely known, but it's something that is being used more and more. And it's an easy way. It depends on what state you're in, which type of provider you want to go to. It might be a rheumatologist, it might be a neurologist. In Arizona, it's an anesthesiologist. They tend to know more here, whereas in Pennsylvania, going to a neurologist, they would seem to know more. So it really depends on what your resources are, what your state setup is like, what the providers in your state are studying, and also go to support groups, research online, talk to people who have similar symptoms, and you can at least get into a class of, in my state, if I have these symptoms, this is the type of provider I need to go to. Or
Mhm.
if I'm willing to travel to other states, there's 1,000 ways to get somewhere. Are you going to take the bus or the train or the plane or your bike or roller skates? How are you going to get the care that you need? Keep looking
Mhm.
for it.
Next one is what type of treatment first, or where do you point them for some type of treatment first? Because a lot of times, and I've seen people talk about, let's say, and I'm just throwing it out there, ketamine, right? But then this other treatment, if you did ketamine first, could slow the progress down on this treatment and so on and so forth. There's Calmare, there's the Vector machine, there's the one in Italy. Forgot the name of it, but what should they seek first?
I would say things that are non-invasive. And the least invasive options should be your first option. So it might be a medication, or if you're allergic to that medication, then that won't be non-invasive for you. So really try to find out what you do best with. And for me, one of the most groundbreaking changes to my care was getting a pharmacogenomics test, which is a test of my genetics and how they interact with medications. So now, you know how doctors say, let's try this medicine and see how you do?
Mhm, mhm,
Now, every FDA approved medication is genetically linked back to your genetics, and they can look at your genetics. It's a cheek swab. It's not even a blood draw. It's a cheek
mhm,
swab. They put it into the system, and they look at what is right for you versus any other human on earth. What is
mhm,
right for you in your care? And
mhm.
my treatments have completely changed. Um,
Wow.
one of the non-invasive, and I use a lot of different tools in my life.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
ketamine being one of them.
mhm,
And but I also found one of the other ones that I found that's been really helpful for me is called an oral orthotic. And you can
mhm,
go to tmjconnection and .com and see videos of me and my brother and other patients that use the oral orthotic as a form of treatment. But between ketamine and the oral orthotic, I no longer have to take opioid pain medication, which to
mhm.
me was something
Wow.
beneficial. For some people, they may need opioid medication
Mhm.
and they should have access to that medication. So I don't want
They
to say
should.
like
They
take
should.
something off the table.
Yeah.
Do testing to find out what treatments will be best for you. That's the fastest, simplest way. The pharmacogenomics test and then microbiome testing
Mhm,
as what are you putting in your body,
mhm.
and how is that, because it's not just, oh, I have this disease. Our bodies are still what our vessel to live in.
Yeah.
And so we have to be mindful of what we eat, staying hydrated.
Mhm,
There's so many things, so many different things, but the more targeted your individualized care can be, the better.
mhm.
So get options that help you get individualized care.
And I would say this too as well. Like anything, obviously, I'm an advocate for many different conditions, and I'm sure you could agree, Bobby.
Right.
Find the right doctor. If you have insurance, you can get on there, and if that doctor's not talking what you want to hear, if they're not showing that interest the way you need to be shown, whether you have
Changing.
CRPS or diabetes, cancer, whatever it is, find that right person. You have to. You can't just rely on the one that you may have been with for the last 5 years.
Right.
And can
And if
you
you've
relate
been
to that?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've been doing the same treatment for 5 years, there's new things that come down the pipeline. Have a conversation with your providers and say, what's new? What's coming down the pipeline? Or I heard about this medication, this treatment, this protocol. What is your opinion on it? They might not know in that moment, but your next appointment, they're probably going to have gone and looked it up and researched and have something to offer you. It's that may be better or different, or they might say, look, I looked into these other things and I still think this is the best thing for you. But absolutely, you're
Yeah.
spot on.
Now I know, man, we could talk for days. I mean, we may have to do a show, a podcast together. But
Right.
what I will say is that I really want to talk to you, maybe tomorrow, because obviously my series, we focus on cancer, diabetes, different
Yep.
conditions.
Been through
Beautiful
it.
series where we feature people who are living with a condition. Man, I would love to do one on this condition and get 5 people who are living with it, bring in some experts, some doctors, let it be more about a beautiful moment where we can share, where we can build, where we can grow from a mental health standpoint to understanding the best foods, for which is inflammation. CRPS is definitely inflammation. And even treatment options that we can talk about,
Right.
and so I don't know. I'm like I said, I know you're a mover and shaker. You're all over the place. You're on every
I
talk
am.
show, TV show, everything. So I know we can pull our minds together, Barbie, and make this happen.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's so many things, treatments and mental health, and there's so many aspects to diagnostics to talk about. You mentioned insurance and having access
Yeah.
financially to some of these
Mhm.
treatments. You can negotiate your bills. You can also file for charity case
Mhm.
applications through hospitals and providers. There's other resources out there. So if your insurance won't cover it, or your provider doesn't know about a treatment, or doesn't have access, or doesn't want to give you that treatment,
Mhm.
there's so many things to talk about that we can't do in this one episode.
Yeah, yeah,
This is a series. This is
yeah,
probably a
yeah.
life series.
And we will, because you know what? Remember, this is also pain in general, right? So
Yes.
while this is CRPS pain,
Yep.
pain is the biggest thing in the world that people are living with. The biggest thing.
Absolutely. My father passed away from diabetes, and I have hypoglycemia, which is the
Yeah,
opposite of
of
diabetes.
course, of course.
So
So,
there's so many other diseases and things that
hmm,
play in and affect you, and it all, to me, it all comes down to individualizing your care and
yeah,
knowing your options. There's over 100 different treatments just for CRPS RSD.
hmm, hmm. And once again, I love this conversation because it not only do we get inside the mind of a woman, but we get inside of the mind of someone who has overcome, has accomplished, still accomplishing many things. Barbie's track record, and I'll put her link, is unbelievable. She is a mover and shaker. I don't just say that, trust me. And I'm glad we stayed in touch. I think that probably in the beginning, because there was so much confusion, we probably didn't get a chance to really know who each other were, and that's
Mhm.
sad. But we're here now, and I'm thankful for that. And I applaud the CRPS community, because sometimes I hear stories, Barb, and I'm just like, how, man, you're way stronger than I could ever be. You're way stronger than I could ever be. And I think I'm a pretty strong guy, but I hear these stories and I'm like, man, God bless you, man. I wish I could do more. I wish I had something else to give, to do, to point them in that direction. And I know you feel like that every day,
I do.
So
And I appreciate you uh, giving me cheers.
Yeah. No.
Giving me glitter. And I feel the same. I feel the same. And I also know who I am.
Yeah.
And I think if you're a new patient, really think and work on the psychological and mental health aspects of living with a chronic disease.
Yeah.
Because knowing who I am, I knew I'm just going to continue to be me. I'm going to
Yeah.
continue to do the right things. And people will see that over time, that I
Yeah.
do have a track record and a history. I'm
Hmm.
not a one and done,
Hmm.
fly by night,
Hmm.
or help you when it helps me kind of
Hmm.
person.
Hmm.
And so I knew that I would continue to follow you and what you were doing, and I saw what you were doing was good, and
Yeah.
I contributed to it.
Thank you.
And and I knew that me being me, you would one
Yeah.
day see it. And I said, in this life or the next, because sometimes we don't know how a person touched our life or
Yeah.
participated in this life. Sometimes in that moment where you're going between earth and heaven, or
Yeah.
wherever you go, your life flashes before you and you see, then you know. So
Mm.
I'm okay with patience
Hmm.
and saying, I'm just going to be me and the best me I can be, and
Yeah.
live in God's light for him.
Mm.
And in doing that and living that way, it's okay if people don't connect with me. They're still part
True.
of my puzzle.
True.
They're still
True.
part of the community puzzle.
How good and how pleasant it would be before God and man. All right, so tell everyone where they can find you, Barbie, and because I know there's probably going to be some people who want to say, hey, point me in the right direction. I'd just love to talk to you, and we're going to schedule another follow up. And everyone, please follow, share, like. It only takes a second. We're trying to do some good work out here, and we need your support because without you guys, we really don't have much, right? So tell us, everybody, where tell us where they can find you, Barb.
You can find me at barbyingle.com, and my email is barbie@barbyingle.com. Barbie ends with a Y. Ingle starts with an I. And it's not the regular Barbie doll that everybody thinks of. And I also want to say, for everybody watching this
Yeah,
series, please give it a 5-star rating and
yeah,
leave a comment and help it get more viewers, help it get up in the algorithms to get shared. And please do your part to keep this going, because hopefully you connected with something I said,
yeah.
but he has other guests that are saying great things that
Mm.
have a lot of resources and information. So check them out as well.
And me and you, we have some chemistry, Bob. We might need to run away with this series, but all right, let me go get my kids, Barbie. I will follow up with you, but thank you so much. You are wonderful,
Thank you.
and man, let's keep rocking. Let's keep rocking. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Take care.
Talk soon. All right. Bye bye.